200 hours. That's the number that gets thrown around for how long you'll spend inside GTA 6, a working month of your life in a fake city. So let me be honest with you about that number before we go any further. Nobody knows it. Rockstar has never said it. It's an extrapolation. Red Dead Redemption 2 takes about 182 hours to finish completely. GTA 6 is bigger, so people round it up. It's a guess wearing a lab coat. Here's what isn't a guess. The specific machinery that will keep you in that chair is documented. It's about 70 years old, and the foundational experiments were run on pigeons. You're not going to play GTA 6 for 200 hours, because it's good. Plenty of good games get 40 hours and a shelf. You'll play it because of 4 systems that have almost nothing to do with quality, and one of them is going to make those 200 hours feel like considerably fewer. 4 mechanisms. First, the reward schedule. Why unpredictable payoffs beat reliable ones, and why that was proven with birds. Second, why you'll look up and discover you've lost 5 hours and feel fine about it. Third, why a progress percentage makes you play faster the closer you get to it, even when the progress is fake. And fourth, the ugly one, why you'll remember the whole thing as more fun than it actually was while you were having it. Then at the end, the part that reframes all 4, because there's a difference between a game you enjoy and a game you can't put down, and almost nobody separates them. In 1957, 2 psychologists, Charles Foerster and B.F. Skinner, published a book called Schedules of Reinforcement. It is not a fun read. It is possibly the most consequential book ever written about why you can't stop doing things. They put pigeons in boxes and varied one thing, not the reward, the timing of the reward. Some birds got food every 10th peck, a fixed ratio completely predictable. Others got food on average every 10th peck, but unpredictably, sometimes the 3rd peck, sometimes the 20th. Same food, same average rate, wildly different animals. The variable group pecked faster and harder, but the finding that matters came when the researchers switched the food off entirely. The predictable reward pigeons quit within minutes. The pattern broke, and they noticed. The unpredictable reward pigeons kept going for hours. They couldn't tell the difference between a dry spell and being finished, because a dry spell had always been part of the deal. That property has a name: resistance to extinction. It's the technical term for not stopping. Now think about what an open world actually pays out. Not every drive gives you something. Not every alley has anything in it. Not every random encounter goes anywhere. The payoff rate is genuinely unpredictable. And that's not a flaw in the design. It's the single most powerful engagement schedule ever measured. But an unpredictable payoff explains why you keep going. It doesn't explain why you don't notice you're still going. If you've watched the video on GTA 6's map, you know the seeking system. The dopamine that pays out for heading towards something. This is a different thing, and I want to be precise about the difference, because they get blurred constantly. Seeking is about wanting. This is about time. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent decades interviewing people who lose themselves in an activity, surgeons, climbers, chess players, and found the state they described had a consistent structure, clear goals, immediate feedback, and critically, a balance between the difficulty of the task and your skill at it. Push the challenge above your ability and you get anxiety. Drop it below and you get boredom. Hold it right on the line and you get flow. Flow has 9 documented characteristics. Loss of self-consciousness is one, and the one you'll feel most is transformation of time. Hours compressing into what feels like minutes. Now look at how an open world is tuned. The difficulty scales with you. The feedback is instant. You either made the jump or you didn't. The goals are always legible. That's not a coincidence. That's the flow channel, built-in software, held open for as long as you'll stay in it. This is what the tease meant by "you won't notice it happening." The 200 hours are real. Your experience of them won't be. You will genuinely lose time, not metaphorically, in the specific sense that the part of your brain that counts it stopped filing reports. So, unpredictable payoffs keep you going, and flow hides the clock. There's still a question neither of those answers: why you'll sprint hardest at the very end when there's least left to get. In 1932, Clark Hull put rats in a runway and timed them. He found something almost silly in how simple it is. Rats run faster the closer they get to the food. Not a constant speed toward a goal, an accelerating one. He called it the goal gradient. 70 years later, researchers checked whether humans do it too, using coffee. Rand Kivitz and colleagues handed out loyalty cards. One group got a 10-stamp card, empty. The other group got a 12-stamp card with 2 stamps already filled in. Both required exactly 10 more purchases. Identical work. The pre-stamped group finished in 12.7 days. The empty card group took 15.6. Read that again because it's the whole trick. The progress was illusory. 2 free stamps on a longer card is not progress, it's arithmetic, and people accelerated anyway. And they accelerated hardest near the end. Every open world you've ever played hands you a completion percentage. Rockstar is unusually good at this. Collectibles, side activities, a tidy number that ticks upward. That number is not there to inform you. It's a goal gradient with a user interface, and it works even when the progress underneath it is arbitrary, which is how a person ends up at hour 180, hunting the last few collectibles in a game they've already finished, moving faster than they did at hour 10. Not because it got better, because it got closer. And here's where it turns, because none of what I've described so far is actually about enjoyment. Daniel Kahneman spent a career on a distinction most people never make. You have an experiencing self, living moment to moment, and a remembering self, which writes it all down afterwards. They do not agree, and only one of them gets a vote in what you do next. In 1996, his team studied colonoscopy patients. One group got a standard procedure. The other got the same procedure, plus an extra 3 minutes at the end. The scope left still, uncomfortable, but not painful. The second group objectively endured more discomfort for longer. They remembered it as less painful, and they were more willing to come back. Because the remembering self doesn't average an experience or add it up, it samples 2 moments, the peak and the end. That's the peak-end rule. Now apply it to 200 hours. Most of that time will be ordinary. Driving, menus, a mission you retried 4 times, 20 minutes finding a car. That's the plateau, and it's the majority of your playtime, but that's not what you'll store. You'll store the peaks, the heist that went perfectly, the moment the map opened up, and you'll store the end whenever you stop. And from those few samples, your remembering self will file a verdict on the whole 200 hours. That was incredible. It won't be lying. It just won't be describing the hours you actually lived. Which brings us to the thing all 4 of these have in common, and nobody wants to say out loud. None of the 4 mechanisms we just covered is a fun mechanism. An unpredictable reward schedule doesn't make a game more enjoyable. It makes it harder to stop. Flow doesn't make the hours better. It makes them invisible. A goal gradient doesn't improve what's at the end. It just makes you sprint at it. And the peak-end rule doesn't improve the experience at all. It edits the memory afterwards. Every one of them acts on engagement. Not one acts on enjoyment. And we treat those as the same word constantly. I played it for 200 hours, gets said as if it settles the question of whether the game was good. It doesn't. It settles the question of whether the schedule worked. Here's the fair version, because this isn't a conspiracy. Those hours can be genuinely great. Flow states are among the most satisfying experiences available to a human being. and Rockstar are extraordinarily good at building the conditions for them. That's a real achievement, not a trick. But it's worth knowing which of your two selves is doing the talking when you say you loved it. Because the one that lived those 200 hours and the one that remembers them are different, and only one of them is going to be around when the next game comes out. If that reframed the number for you, drop a like and subscribe, because next time we're going after something even harder to defend. Why you will spend real money, real hours, and real emotional energy on things that do not exist. Virtual cars, virtual apartments, virtual clothes nobody outside the game will ever see. And why the part of your brain that handles status genuinely cannot tell the difference. I'll see you in the next one.